Hi, my name is Ashley Johnson. This is my major presentation for Intro to Instructional Technology. My topic is GPS, GIS, and Google Earth technologies in the classroom. First, let's talk about what GPS and GIS are. GPS is Global Positioning Systems, or a series of satellites that continuously orbit the Earth, transmitting radio signals with information about their precise location and time. You can see in this graphic that receivers on Earth use the transmission of those radio signals to determine their location on Earth. They use the rate or of the signal traveling at the speed of light. They use the time that it takes for the transmission to be received to determine the distance between the satellite and receiver. If you have that information for 4 satellites, that receiver's location can be determined in 3 dimensions on Earth. So now let's talk about GIS. GPS was a system of satellites. GIS is software. This software, the product is always an image-based map, and it's comprised of many layers of data, including geographical data, or where something is, and descriptive data, or what something is. And this data can be almost anything. Google Earth. It was developed by a company called Keyhole Technology, and it was acquired by Google and released as a free downloadable product in 2004. It uses satellite imagery, aerial photography, 3D modeling software, and GIS to form a 3-dimensional virtual globe and map and geographic information system. The language used to create this 3-dimensional globe are KML and KMZ files, or Keyhole Markup Language, which are text-based data, and KMZ, Keyhole Markup Zipped Language, which are the KML plus additional formats such as images. Let's look at some applications in the classroom. Let's begin with some literacy lessons. You can take a virtual tour to explore main points in a story or the setting of a play. You can map character movement. My favorite are Google Lit Trips, which are ways to enhance literature and engage readers. They have a library of titles to choose from kindergarten through higher education. Let's take a look at what a Google Lit Trip looks like.
Google Lit Trips brings together the wisdom of our global literary heritage and the 21st century resources available in Google Earth, creating an environment from within which readers virtually travel alongside the story's characters. The experience is enhanced by pop-up windows providing a wide range of supplementary information, such as this link to additional information about the story's author. As readers travel along with the story's characters, they find themselves seeing the setting almost as though they were there. They see, as in this example from the kite runner, the bowl-shaped hill where the main characters reveal much about the relationship as defined by Afghan tradition. The pop-up windows generally include some combination of the following engaging content. Images, video, and/or audio clips relating to the storyline. Specific references from the story touching upon significant themes being developed. And rather than including plot summaries that might provide incentives for some readers to circumvent actually reading the story, higher-level engaging discussion starters designed to help readers discover connections between the world they know and the world within which the story is set are provided. The pop-up windows also frequently include supplementary links that take readers beyond the story. For example, in this scene, the 2 young boys spend some time enjoying the traditional Afghan humor of Mullah Nasruddin jokes. Readers can click this link to take a side trip to read more Mullah Nasruddin jokes, discovering that humor of this sort is enjoyed in many cultures. The boys also share their enjoyment of one of Afghanistan's most famous legends, the heroic story of Rostam and Sohrab. This link takes readers to an online version of the entire Rostam and Sohrab story, which comes to play a continuing and central role in the story's thematic development. As students continue their reading, they become not just students, but fellow travelers, discovering the great similarities as well as the unique qualities of the characters from cultures beyond their own. Google Lit Trips. It's a whole new way to read great literature.
So let's look at some of the literacy standards that would be met in this particular Google Lit Trip, or the studying the kite runner. We saw a point of view or cultural experience outside of the United States, drawing on world literature. We saw a modern work of fiction, drawing on themes, patterns, characters from myths and traditional stories. We saw an integration of information presented in a different media or a different format. We synthesize information from lots of sources to make a map. We investigated lots of relationships between regions using representations and technologies. Now let's look at the science classroom. We can obtain real-time cloud cover or radar data from satellites. We can explore the Earth's surface in ways of geological features or even the ocean floor. We can explore space. We can look at the surface of the moon. We can look at the surface of Mars, explore galaxies with Google Sky, and there are lots of applications also in environmental science, which we will look at next. I'd like to show you an application in the environmental sciences using Google Earth. You can go to the National SOA Ice Data Center and download KMZ files that include 30 years of information on ice extent in the Arctic and Antarctic regions. You can see how the ice changes over time. What a great way to visualize a large set of data. Students can look at Arctic and Antarctic regions. So, a really popular or hot topic now for anyone knows is climate change. And this particular lesson could highlight that current topic as a social perspective of environmental science. So with this lesson, we could further evaluate the impact of different points of view, governmental, economic, and societal, research how political systems can influence environmental decisions and consequences, predicting long-term impacts. The ice extent maps definitely analyzed physical characteristics and on regions and creating patterns. There was a synthesis of information from different sources and different sources to answer and ask compelling questions. Now let's look at the social sciences classroom. We can take virtual tours of historical places, visit sites of historical events. We can discover trends in population or other demographical data. Let's look at another use. Let's look at how Google Earth can be used in the social sciences classroom. Here's an overlay that shows a virtual tour of the route of the Lewis and Clark expedition following the Louisiana Purchase. This area in red shows the boundaries of the Louisiana Purchase. And the route is designated here, also including some waypoints and some historical data. What an excellent way to put what could be dry facts into perspective and to visualize what an undertaking this truly was. So, using some primary and secondary resources, we could explore further just what the atmosphere was like there, geographically and socially. to take care of that first standard mentioned there, we could bring in some data about the unintended consequences of westward expansion and migration, especially on Native American people. We can see the impact of influences on regions determined by spatial patterns. We definitely saw change in boundaries over time with that red polygon and the Louisiana Purchase, and explaining relationships and how they change over time with maps and geographic representations. And last but definitely not least, let's look at this fabulous website that explores mathematical concepts. And today's lesson, we will be covering some geometric concepts. We'll download the KNZ files and open them in Google Earth. Today we'll be discovering or exploring in three-dimensional objects that exist. We're going to be studying on Earth, we're going to be studying geometric solids and their properties. So let's go to our first assignment, which is the head building in Nice, France. And our homework assignment here is we are to find the volume and surface area of this building that we are assuming is a cube. Looks pretty cube-like to me. Let's also take a street view of this building so you can see what it looks like in real life. Definitely looks like a cube, and you can tell that it looks like a head with a cube on it. That's the name, the head building. Now let's go to our next assignment at the Great Pyramid of Giza. We're supposed to find the volume of the pyramid with those dimensions and also the surface area, because the directions tell us that Pharaoh wants to paint it purple. We'll zoom over to the Leaning Tower of Pisa. We're supposed to determine the volume and surface area of it as a cylinder. And you can see we'll have some, there we go, there's some more detail. And now we'll look at a building in Bogota, Colombia, the Corpo Colombiana building. It is a triangular prism. We're supposed to give the volume and total surface area of it. And also the Pentagon, which is a pentagonal prism. So we can look at it in 3 dimensions. So we get to see some famous landmarks, and we get to apply some geometry in something far more interesting than a worksheet. And there are lots of standards that are listed here. They're just too numerous to read through, but every single one of these standards was applied in that one lesson. Including applying some real world problems or real world scenarios or real world items. So are you ready to get started with Google Earth? I firmly believe that every classroom can use Google Earth. Here are some links to some resources that you could use to go ahead and get started. These have some KNZ files ready for you to download and open in Google Earth. I will link to these in the comments. I thank you for your time and your attention. I hope you learned as much as I did. I really did not know the true application of Google Earth until I researched this project. I hope you'll do some exploring of your own.